I'm Tia Curtis. I'm with the Kansas City Modern Quilt Guild, and today we're going to have our second installment of our block of every other month. For the first month, we did this Lone Star quilt block, which I have a video for, well, down below, just look. But this month we're going to be doing strip piece triangles. These blocks can be, you can just use them just for a quilt, the body of a quilt, a pyramid quilt, or you can use them as a border for your Lone Star. I've used these strip piece pyramids quite often. I love them as a border. They provide a lot of interest, they're really fun, and they're super, super quick. So this one was just a kind of a boring 9-patch, but I think with this pyramid border, it really made the quilt powerful and awesome. So that's what we're going to do today. What you're going to need is you're going to need strips. So we'll talk about cutting in a second, but you need about 6 different types of fabric. Cut it the entire width, and then you'll need background triangles. So again, just cut strips of whatever background fabric you want to use. Cut the background fabric 6.5 inches by the entire width of fabric, okay? All right, let's go ahead and get going. All right, so right now we're gonna cut our strips of fabric. Well, I've already cut mine, but what you're gonna cut them into, you're gonna cut them into chunks that are between 1 inch wide and 3 inches wide. I like to work with a 1/4 yard of fabric. For this one, I chose 6 different main body of the block fabrics. And then I also chose 6 strips of fabric that are going to be the background. We don't have to worry about the background right now. We're just going to worry about the focus block. So when I say cut different widths of the strip of the fabric, you have your 1/4 yard of fabric, cut a 3 inch strip, a 2 inch strip, a 1 1/4 inch strip. Just cut varying widths of the fabric. And then you'll have a bunch of strips, and then we'll put them together into strip sets that'll look like this. Okay? All right, so now you're going to sew your strips of fabric together. You need to think about the layout before you go to the sewing machine. Our goal is to have at least a 6.5 inch wide piece of fabric. Bigger's better because you can trim down. So this particular strip set is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is actually almost 8 inches wide, but I'll trim it down to 6.5 inches when I'm ready to cut. And it has 6 different fabrics, but some of the blocks that I made earlier have 7, some have 8 if they have a lot of really skinny strips in them. So don't worry about, having too many fabrics. The goal is you have to have it at least 6.5 inches wide. So when you lay it out, don't think about it too much. Just lay out your fabrics. I do like to have the widest strips on the top and the bottom. Just lay them all out, and then you're going to sew them together. And go ahead and lay out as many strip sets as you can, and then you can chain piece them really quick on the sewing machine, and it goes really fast. So you sew these 2 together, then these 2 together, then these 2 together, and then you stop and you sew 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 6. Okay? And it's really fun, and it goes quick. You can binge watch whatever show you want to see on Netflix while you're doing it. All right, so I've sewn my strip set together. All these little strips are now one strip set. Now we need to press it. And with this one, you need to press the seams open. As you'll notice, I have all the selvage ends at one end of the fabric, or the strip set. I think that this just keeps it a little straighter. You know, you do it if you want to do it, don't if you don't. So just press these seams open. I can give it a little spray with your starch or sizing. I like Best Press. It smells good. So take your finger and press those seams open and then follow with your iron. I like to use steam, hot steam in my iron, and give it a tug on that selvage end, and it'll help open up the seams as you go. Do the same thing over here. And do it for each set of seams, okay? All right, so we have our strip sets. We're ready to cut them now. And this is why I put the selvages all at one end. So I'll have a nice straight edge, because who knows if your fabric is all going to be the same width. This is all cotton and steel. It's all the same fabric manufacturer, but they kind of vary in length right off the bolt. So at least we'll know that we have a nice straight edge over here. And then, yeah, nobody cares about that end. Right now we're going to cut these strip sets to be 6.5 inches wide. That's what we're going to do. So fold it in half. Line it up on your cutting mat. And this doesn't have to be perfect. It's kind of fun when it has like a little bit of wiggle in it or a slant. I think that that makes it look a lot more organic and interesting. Then no one could ever double it. It's always going to be one of a kind. So there's 6. Here's the half. Oh, that's a long one. And I could use this again for another strip set, so just lay that aside. The same thing with this one. Pink, I like that pink. So now I'm going to use this 60-degree Fons and Porter pyramid template. You can also use the 60-degree line on your mat. So, you know, don't feel like you have to go out and buy a new tool. But this is a really good tool to have. So if you want to add this to your arsenal, you know, you can get them anywhere that sells fabric. So Joann's has them, Hobby Lobby has them, your local quilt shop should have them. Definitely try your local quilt shop first. But if you don't already have it, you should get this. It's an awesome tool. And I'll show you why in just a second. So now we're going to cut our blocks. And just for speed, I'm going to stack these guys up on top of each other. So, just cut. Now save these because you'll use these in the end pieces of your pyramid lines. So don't throw those away. Those are important. Oops. Good gracious. All right, so for this last cut, you got to open them up. Just make sure this first edge is laid out on top of each other nice and straight. There you go. So here we have all these little blocks. Now we're going to talk about layout and sewing the rows together, okay? Okay, so now I gotta think about what are you gonna do with these pyramid blocks. Are you gonna use them as a border? Are you gonna use them as, you know, just a pyramid quilt? That would be awesome. That's what I'm gonna do with mine. Or you can also make them into hexagon quilts, which are so awesome, and they're really a lot easier to make than you might think. So let's just do the hexagon layout first, because I think that that's pretty awesome. So you can lay them out, kind of stack, okay. So as you'll notice, as you cut these triangles, you're gonna get two versions of each strip set. You're gonna get, you know, see how they've cut, you've got two versions of the same strip set. You've got pink on top, you got blue on top. And you can marry these guys up like this, and it makes a pretty fun hexagon block. Where's another pink one? And I need another blue, bam. So it can look like that. Isn't that not cute? And how you would piece this is you would piece, you know, the entire row of the hexagons all together. But let's save that one for a different time. Let's do layout like this. Sorry, I get excited about these hexagon quilts. So just randomly lay out your blocks, and see I have a big stack to choose from. And the magic of YouTube, I've already cut hexagons out of my background fabric as well. So you need to do that too. You need to cut background triangles. And again, just use your 60-degree Fons and Porter ruler or your line on your mat. So cut your triangles. And then you just lay out, you know, the layout that you want. So you can line these triangles up to go right behind each other, like straight in line. That's kind of fun. Or you can stagger them so that they'll look like this. Oh, I already have it. So this is if you're going to make a whole pyramid quilt. So you'll piece a row at a time. Or you'll just make the rows, and then the rows will become a border. All right, this is really easy, and it's really fun. So pick out your show that you want to watch or your podcast you want to listen to and just make it happen. So I'll show you how to sew these together real fast, okay? All right, so now we're just gonna piece them. So you have your main block pointed up. You have your background blocks pointed down. And to sew these guys together, you just stack them and sew them. So this is the block. This is the block we've made. It's a strip piece triangle with a background triangle. And you have to just decide, do you want to just do rows to do a border, or do rows to build a whole quilt? So the fun part is laying it out to make it so that, you know, the same fabric isn't right beside each other. Like that would make me a crazy woman. So I switch it out. Bam, just like that. So just sew your rows together, sew your segments together to make rows, and make a quilt. I hope you love it, and I hope this showed you a little bit of a different technique that you might not have known about, or if you knew about it, you know, maybe, hopefully I showed you a different way to do it. You should definitely have one of those 60-degree triangles in your arsenal because they're awesome. They make you look like you really know what you're doing. Well, thanks, and this was the second block of every other month for the Kansas City Modern Quilt Guild. Next time, this is April, May, so June, the June block will be these curves, and they're very cool, and I can't wait to show you those. All right, so leave a comment if you've got questions. I'm happy to answer them. Something we can improve on, let us know your 2 cents as well. Thanks so much.